Hey guys, Mr. Kyle, Myers Mathematics, and let's just jump right into it. So I have the sine, cosine, tangent super chart. All right, so what I mean by that is, not just to have a fun title, but also I've compiled a couple different trick charts, cheat charts, whatever you want to call them, for sine, cosine, tangent that have worked over the years, and some of them were better than others, and I kind of compiled them, kind of put them together into my own. And I use this a lot with my students to help them remember sine, cosine, tangent values. So I wanted to share this with you. It's a really easy chart to make. It takes 5 steps to do after you set up sine, cosine, tangent, and just the basic values that you find on a unit circle. All right, so it's super easy to do. Let's just jump right into how to make this so you can see how easy this is. So the 3 trig values that you want to use are going to be sine, cosine, and tangent. Right? You don't really need the cosecant, secant, and cotangent because you can just flip sine, cosine, or tangent to get one of those. So you only really need the sine, the cosine, and the tangent values, all right, out of the 6 trig functions that there are. And then, of course, your critical or unit circle values, or whatever you want to call them. So 0, right, your starting place. 30, right, 30 degrees. And these are all in degrees, by the way. 60 degrees and 90 degrees. So I left some space here because if you want, you could also put like the radians on here, 0 pi radians, pi over 6 radians, pi over 4. Notice the fractions, the denominator gets smaller as the number gets bigger, like fractions tend to do. Right? So you kind of just count down from 6, not including 5. That's one way to remember it. Also, pi over 6 for 30, pi over 3 for 60, the 3 and the 6 flip. And then for pi over 4, 45, 4, 45, that's how you remember that one. So those are your values. Those are your critical special right triangle values. That's where they come from. And they're just really important in physics and in engineering and stuff like that. That's why they've been selected. It's not just, hey, let's choose these random numbers. No, they have a purpose, and you don't really get to see too much of that purpose, or I should say maybe the beauty of that purpose, unless you're in engineering or physics related kind of work. But let's just jump right into the steps here on how to actually input the values in the chart. Okay, so we have it set up. We've got sine, cosine, tangent, 0, 30, 45, 60, 90 in degrees, right? And then, of course, the radian counterparts. Step 1, all you have to do is count up to 4, right, for sine. Count up to 4 for sine, right, starting at 0. So 0, maybe put this in parentheses when you write this down, 0 to 4, because we have 5 values. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm kind of putting these on the left-hand side on purpose because I'm going to simplify the fractions in a little bit, and I'll write those simplified fractions on the right-hand side. So the next step to do would be to do the opposite. We're going to count down. Count down from 4 for cosine. Right? And if I was just saying this and not writing it down, you might get a little confused because I just said 4 twice. But I meant 4 as in the number 4, and then 4 FOR. So count down from 4 for cosine, meaning 4 to 0. We're including 0 here. That's really important. We have 5 values to do. So if we stopped at 1, we'd be missing a value. All right, so 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Right? Pretty easy so far, right? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Insanely easy, and we're halfway there for sine and cosine. We've only got 2 more steps to do for sine and cosine. And then tangent just kind of falls into place. So the next step to do is to divide by 4, right? And you can simplify or you can not simplify. It's kind of up to you. There's some pros and cons to simplifying. as you go versus simplifying at the end. But I'll just go ahead and leave it alone for right now, and we'll look at what would have happened if I simplified beforehand afterwards. So I'm just going to divide everything by 4. Divide by 4. It's a 4 right there. Divide by 4. 4 and one more. Okay? So I should say instead here, just to clarify, divide everything. Right? Everything that we have so far, obviously, because we don't have any values for tangent, so there's nothing to divide by. Divide everything by 4. Okay, so divide everything by 4. That's it. All right, now I'm going to do the last step, which is to square root everything. Square root. And if you want, you can just say root everything. If you like, want to make this as little words as possible, I just say square root just to, clarify, because there's other kinds of roots, right? A cube root, for instance, or a 4th root, a 5th root. So square root everything. Square root everything. So then, boom, 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 do. Just go around and just have at it. Right? And there we go. So it looks a little unsimplified, huh? We should probably simplify all this stuff, right? So I'm going to put some equal signs on here, and let's simplify. And you've probably already simplified most or all of these, unless you're just watching this just for fun, which I don't know why you'd be watching it just for fun. You would want to watch this, so you have a trick chart so that you don't have to memorize a bunch of different values, right? So this is your trick chart. All you need to do is simplify. 0 over 4, well, 0 over anything, I should say, is 0. And then the square root of 0 is 0, so this is just 0. And by the way, you don't need to do all of this 10 times. You only need to do it 5 times, because they all repeat, right? So the sine of 0 is the same thing as cosine of 90. The sine of 30 is the same thing as the cosine of 60, right? So they all repeat. You only need to do this 5 times here. So 1/4. There's not really a way to simplify 1/4, but the square root of 1 is 1, and the square root of 4 is 2. So that's 1/2, which means that's 1/2. The square root of 2 over 4, that doesn't simplify that much. The square root of 2 is just the square root of 2. And then the square root of 4 is 2. So that's what that simplifies to there. Square root of the square root of 3 also doesn't simplify, but the square root of 4 does. It simplifies to 2. So there we go for that one. And then 4 over 4 is just 1, and the square root of 1 is 1. So that's just 1. And there we go. We're almost completely done. The only thing we're missing is just this last tangent thing. Well, if you're familiar with some trick things for tangent, sine over cosine equals tangent, aka divide. So divide your values that you have for sine and cosine, and you'll get your tangent. So 0 over 1, right? 0 over 1. Let's make that a little darker. There we go. 0 over 1 is 0, so tangent is 0. This one's a little tricky looking, but the 2's cancel, right? The 2's cancel. I'll put a slash right next to the 2 instead of on it, so I don't mess up the values there. But the 2's cancel, and I just have 1 over the square root of 3, which simplifies to the square root of 3 over 3. This one also looks really complicated, but it's actually one of the easiest besides 0 over 1. It's something divided by itself, right? So even though it looks really complicated, anything divided by itself is 1. So the tangent of 45 degrees is 1. This one, second most difficult one to do, but again, the 2's cancel. 2's cancel. So there goes the 2's, and then I just have the square root of 3 over 1, which is the square root of 3. All right, so that one was a little bit more rough, but it's doable. And then 1 over 0 is undefined, right? Infinity slash undefined. All right, and there you go. You have your trick chart. That's all you got to do. All right, so if you haven't checked out my website, it's Mr. Myers, or not Mr. Myers, it's myersmathematics.com. I want you to go on there and get a free guide. It's just a quick free math guide to throw in your pocket and just have as a reference. just to kind of remember what the 5 math mistakes are that everyone makes and how you can avoid them. It's the title of the PDF I want to give you for free. You can download it just on the main page, myersmathematics.com. Click on that link, and then you can get that free guide to put in your pocket. So basically what it is just a description of just the 5 things that everyone messes up on and how there's just some quick ways, some quick things to keep in mind to avoid those mistakes. All right, so I want you to check that out. It's for free on my website. This has been Mr. Myers. Peace out.